Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I hope everybody's had a chance to enjoy their dinner and enjoy the company at their table. I'd like to again extend a very warm welcome to the 9th annual UC Santa Cruz Scholarship Benefit Dinner. We've got a great program for you tonight, but before we begin, I would first like to say a couple of thanks to some of our sponsors. We'd like to thank the Astellas Foundation, Google, Hierarchical Systems Research Foundation, the Santa Cruz Beach Boardwalk, and the Silicon Valley San Jose Business Journal, who just announced yesterday their Women of Influence in Silicon Valley, of which 6 were UC Santa Cruz alum. In addition to our corporate sponsors, I'd like to thank some of our numerous individual sponsors whose names have been scrolling by throughout the evening. Let's give them a hand. And finally, from my heart, and I think Mary's too, I would actually like to thank the UC Santa Cruz staff and our other committee members for putting this evening together. I'd like to specifically thank Susan Hammer and David Doche. They've been a very, very excellent team on the committee to help us put this together. So it's with great pleasure I'm going to introduce it's my honor to introduce our distinguished host for the evening, Dr. Emmett Carson. Dr. Carson is the CEO and president of the Silicon Valley Community Foundation and is a global leader in philanthropy. He's the former CEO of the Minneapolis Foundation and also served on the Ford Foundation. He has, to our benefit, spent the last 6 years working in Silicon Valley. He has an individual commitment to social change and the power of philanthropy to make the world a better place. These are values that I know UC Santa Cruz shares and that we like to teach at UC Santa Cruz. So please join me in welcoming Dr. Emmett Carson.
Good evening. Oh, you can do better than that. Good evening. All right, welcome to San Jose. Now, some of you are asking, why am I here? Talk to Susan Hammer. That's why I'm here. She would not say no for an answer. I've never been a distinguished host before. And I was given a long list of things to talk about, and then I was told to do it in 5 minutes. So either I have to break the 5-minute rule or I need to keep to time. I'm going to try to keep to the time. There are a number of you that I know, all due protocols observed is a phrase from Africa when you can't name everybody. But there is one person I would like to name, and that's my counterpart in Santa Cruz, and that's Lance Linares. So Lance, it's great to see you. And Lance is also an alum. So really what I want to say is there is a paradox that, in fact, while the world has gotten to be a smaller place, it seems like the distance between the regions and the counties has gotten larger. And it's a paradox because we communicate around the world with increasing frequency, but we can't seem to communicate across the hill. And I'm going to ask you to own the fact that Silicon Valley is your community. but you can't just own it in name. My mom used to say, if the words are different than the behavior, believe the behavior. You need to come more than 3 times. You need to, we're at home. I'm part of the group. You need to own the issues that we share in common. In Santa Clara County, 18% of 12th graders in the 2009-2010 year dropped out. 75% of seniors, Latino seniors who graduated, didn't meet UC A through G requirements. 68% of African Americans who graduated did not meet A through G UC requirements. 41% of white kids who graduated didn't meet UC requirements. You need to be involved in those issues with us as to how to make those numbers better. That's your feeder system. Now, there's this growing gap symbolized here in Silicon Valley between rich and poor. Education is one of those bridges to make people who haven't made it get into the group that can make it, but the other bridge is philanthropy. We have a unique opportunity here as we're one of the few places in the country experiencing an economic boom. And as we experience that boom, it's up to all of us to think about the value of giving back to your alma mater, but giving back to our entire region to make it a better place. As we go, you go. As you go, we go. We're in it together. We need your presence in important issues here. And philanthropy has to use both its dollars and its voice to help on very difficult, challenging issues like Prop 13, which are affecting the UC system as well as affecting local services. Now, I don't want you to leave the room and say, Emmett Carson said, go out and tax more. He did not. He also didn't go out and say, cut more. What he said is that the system we have today doesn't work for the needs that we need to have as a community. And we need our educational community. We need our educational community and our philanthropic community to come together around that. So that's about my 5 minutes. They kept me short. But now I have the distinct pleasure to introduce our chancellor. And they have this book, but I'm going to read my own notes because I can find them. They only gave me a minute for you, Chancellor. I'm sorry. That's, if I'd have done it, it'd have been 10. But they gave me 1. As many of you already know, Chancellor Blumenthal is a distinguished scholar of astronomy and astrophysics, which means we're all afraid of him. He has spent 40 years in service to UC Santa Cruz, including serving as chancellor since 2007. He is a wonderful and powerful advocate for UC Santa Cruz in Sacramento. He is helping to make the case for a greater investment in higher education. He has been a leader within the UC system. He's co-chaired the working group on the future size and shape of the University of California. And prior to becoming chancellor, he represented that's underscored all of the UC faculty on the UC Board of Regents from 2003 to 2005. He's been a champion of access and affordability, and I think you would agree that he is one of UC Santa Cruz's strongest, most important assets. Please join me in welcoming the chancellor.
Thank you, Emmett. That was a very kind introduction, and I'll try to live up to it. Well, Emmett showed the importance of education and philanthropy for the future of Silicon Valley and really for the future of the students that we all serve. We look forward to working with him and with all of you to bring forward our students so that they can be successful and contribute to our region, to our state, and to our economy. Today, we have with us a number of special guests that I'd like to acknowledge. And let me ask each of you to please stand when I call your name. First of all, two former mayors of San Jose, Susan Hammer and Ron Gonzalez. Susan is, by the way, a longtime member of the UCSC Foundation Board, has really contributed a lot to this event. And Ron Gonzalez is actually a banana slug himself. I also want to acknowledge Santa Cruz City Council person Hillary Bryant. UC Santa Cruz Foundation Board President Ken Doctor. UCSC Alumni Council President Jerry Ruiz. And I also want to acknowledge our newly elected UC Santa Cruz Alumni Regent, who will be serving on the Board of Regents for the next 2 years, and I challenge him to solve all of our problems, please. And that's Ken Feingold. Ken is a 1971 graduate of UC Santa Cruz's Cowell College. Well, let me just take a moment to frame this evening's conversation. Tonight is about UC Santa Cruz, obviously, but it's about how we prepare our students to accomplish and to innovate. And I'm so proud to share that story with you, to share our story. So to begin, let's watch a short video featuring 6 stories about the power of scholarships. Take it away.
I feel honored to be part of this campus, and especially in my major, molecular, cellular, and developmental biology. I honestly don't think I could complete my education without scholarships. I can really focus on my studies now, so it's really made an incredible difference in my life. I feel like I have all these possibilities. It's so open to me now. I really enjoy it here. I want to be in the audience in the scholarship dinners. I want to be the one giving back, because there could be someone like me a few years from now. And I want to be sure to invest in their education like people are investing in mine now.
My father was a government official in Yemen. He had to leave the country for political reasons. Just being in a political family encouraged me to look and explore what I can do in politics. The scholarship helped to open more doors for me in terms of my educational goals. One thing that I learned from getting scholarships is to actually not only give back to the community, but also think about the people who actually donated and appreciate the fact that there are people who care about the students and the future of this country.
I wanted to be a world-famous Chicana poet. That was my intention when I came here. And then I took this class and learned about the Big Bang and earthquakes and tidal waves and all this really cool stuff. It wasn't easy to change my major, and if I hadn't had scholarship money, I wouldn't have been able to do it. I really wanted to be able to use my work to advance the whole field of alternative energies. I had come through this academic pipeline, and it came full circle to my community and had something that they really needed that I could offer them. And so the impact was that I was able to pursue my dreams.
A lot of people see a scholarship as a charity exercise, and I actually see it as a recruitment tool for us to actually bring these very talented students to work with us and to be part of our physics program, and then send them into PhD programs. I grew up originally in Mexico. I came to the United States on a summer scholarship and radically changed my life and gave me opportunities that I wouldn't otherwise have. And not only I feel morally obliged to do the same, but I actually think that this is a very important central part of society to give these opportunities to students.
My interest is medical device, and I really like the researchers that they're doing in the bionic lab. Scholarship, it helped me. It gave me the peace of mind to focus on what I was doing and studying. I wanted to do something positive for my community. I got the support from the community. I want to give it back. And if I have that support, I can continue my education and my passion.
I see a world that is troubled and people without rights, and I want to study to try and find a space where change can happen. I'm a reentry student. I have a second chance, and I'm going to make the most of it. Getting these scholarships has empowered me to pursue my dream of graduating from UCSC with a bachelor's degree and going on to graduate studies. There are always options in every situation. Look for them and maximize them.
Wow. Those are UC Santa Cruz students. And one of our former students is someone who is with us tonight, and it's my pleasure to introduce her as our keynote speaker. And that's our distinguished UC Santa Cruz alum, Susan Wojicicki, who is a Senior Vice President of Advertising at Google. Susan received a master's degree in applied economics at UC Santa Cruz in 1993. And look what she's done with it. She was Google's 16th hire and its first marketing manager. In fact, Google started in her garage. And she made the very early decision at Google to embed Google's search box for free in the university websites around the country and elsewhere across the internet to build traffic. She realized, she had the key realization that university people like to experiment and innovate and try new things, and she got them to try Google. And look what happened after that. She's made many smart decisions in her role as a senior vice president. You know, the Google Doodles, how Google plays with their logo on their web page from time to time, well, that was her invention. And it includes such things as a celebration of the 100th birthday of Lucille Ball or the 50th anniversary of manned spaceflight. Susan did that. And today, look where that got Google. Now Google is a verb. It's even listed in the stodgy old Oxford English Dictionary. Well, Susan herself has been known for her high standards, for a no-nonsense work style, for sharing credit with her team and shunning the spotlight. Well, sometimes she can't shun the spotlight. For example, in 2011, Forbes magazine listed her as 16th on their list of the world's most powerful women. She was slightly behind Oprah Winfield and Lady Gaga. But I'm pleased to tell you that she was ahead of the president of Argentina. So without further ado, please join me in welcoming Susan Wojicicki.
Thank you so much for that kind introduction. I have to make sure I live up to it here with my talk. But it's really a pleasure for me to be here tonight. I feel like it's not that long ago that I was a student at UC Santa Cruz, actually on scholarship there. And I feel like I haven't changed that much since then, but the world has changed a lot. Most notably, there's one big thing that exists now that did not exist when I was a student at UC Santa Cruz, and that is the internet. So when I graduated in 1993, the internet was still a government research project. It was not, and really it was not that long ago. I just want to put this in perspective. I don't feel like I'm that old yet. And it was commercialized 2 years after I graduated from my master's program. So the world has changed a lot since that period of time. It's changed the way we think about the way we communicate, the way we spend our free time. Probably everybody here has phones with them that connect to the internet. So it's changed pretty much everything that we've done. So as you can see, it's been we've gone from having no one, or just our government researchers using it, to almost over 2 billion, and almost somewhere between a huge number of users across the globe. So let me tell you a little bit about how I became involved in the internet and what it was like to have a front seat row as part of the internet revolution. So my story starts when, in 1999, I was like many people in the Valley, and I was trying to buy a house. And as all of you know, houses in the Silicon Valley are really, really expensive, especially if you have just spent a lot of time in school and have not worked for very long. So I came up with what I thought was a very ingenious plan to rent part of my house. Now, this was 1999, and at that point, everybody was starting an internet company. So I had 2 friends, and they were starting an internet company, and they wanted to rent part of my house. They were 25, and they were 26. And this is them, and this is what they looked like. You might recognize them. They've become quite famous since. This is Sergey Brin and Larry Page, who are the founders of Google. And they were my friends, and I said, okay, you can rent part of my house, but please make sure you take out the recycling, because it's on Thursdays. And the arrangement turned out to be pretty good, because they would fix a lot of things around the house. I could send workmen, they would help talk to them, and I got free cable, which from a student point of view was like a big benefit. But while they were working out of my house and I was living there, I began to use their product, and I began to use Google. And the more I used it, the more I realized I could not live without it. And I realized that it gave me access to something really, really important, something that changed how I did my job every day, and that was information. So I soon joined the company. It was actually after they moved out of my house. Unfortunately, it would have been a really convenient commute otherwise, from upstairs to downstairs, but unfortunately I never had that opportunity. This is me actually on the far left. I'm sitting on a ball. And we were maybe about 40 people here. And we didn't have any business model. We didn't generate any revenue. Okay? I joined this company with a 25 and a 26-year-old that generated no money. And I came from Intel, which actually generated a lot of money at that point. So it didn't really, and actually I'll just note too, I was pregnant at this time. So it was like people did not understand this decision. But what I thought was really important is that this was going to be the way that people were going to get information. And as soon as I started to work there, I began to see how important that was. People would write to us from all over the world and they would say, I had this disease and I had been looking for solutions. I couldn't find it, but I was able to find it thanks to your search engine. Or I've been looking for this person, I've been looking for this child, I've been looking for this, whatever they were looking for, and they were able to find it. And so very early on, we realized how important information was and what an important role that we served in the world. So today, that's just commonplace, which I think is really interesting. Today this is not news. This is like a baseline tool that we all have. And as soon as a new tool comes out, we are able to take it, and we are able to, it becomes such an important part of our life that suddenly we can't live without it, that we forget that just a year, or just like earlier that year, we didn't actually have it. Information is so important, and it has become so much part of our life with the new technology that we don't even realize what we've gotten that is new. And so that was one of the lessons that I've learned, is how important information is and how quick we are to adopt to technology. So one of the things that I think we all have with us today, I bet you every single person in the room brought their cell phone with them. Every single person. And I bet you all have smartphones that connect to the internet, where you can look at maps, where you have all your contacts, where you can take pictures, you can upload them. And so we can go to the next slide. Basically, that has been another information revolution that we've had just in the last couple of years. And we don't even think about it. We use it every day. And so when I was a student at UC Santa Cruz, I couldn't walk down the street and look at all the reviews and put posts and then look and see where all my friends were, or my friends at which cafe, were they at Saturn Cafe or not at Saturn Cafe. I couldn't see who was uploading pictures. I couldn't see where, I couldn't book a table. I couldn't do any of those things that we can actually do today. So it's pretty amazing how quickly we adopt to technology and how fast it actually goes. So, looking another thing I find very interesting is we all carry our phones and we all carry our wallets. I bet everyone here in this room actually has both with them tonight. And if they don't, they regret that they didn't bring one of those two items. But in Africa, there have actually been a revolution where people have been using phones for payment, phones for money. And so what the cell phones have brought are, for some sets of the most impoverished people who could never ever before have a savings account, they've been able to use phones and use the currency of cell phone minutes to be able to have savings. And this is actually a picture of a phone. It's called M-Pesa. Pesa means money in Swahili. And so it shows how technology can be used in ways you never would have thought that it could be used. Today, here in one of the most developed, in Silicon Valley, probably the most technically advanced place in the world, we don't have these combined. But yet in places like Kenya, they are combined. And it shows the opportunity and how that can change people's lives. So the other way that information, that I've realized how important information and the role that it plays is when you look at what happened in Arab Spring. So I think there's no debate that social media played a huge role in the Arab Spring, and that people used Facebook, they used Twitter, they used YouTube. The governments didn't expect the revolution to come from that side of the communities, and they weren't prepared. And in fact, it was a Google employee, it was a marketing manager. He was a really good marketing manager, better than I think he realized, who created the Facebook page that became the instrument that organized the masses. That was Wael Ghonim. He was a key person in organizing, in creating, in using the instruments and being aware of all the digital media and using that to get the word out, to use that for the organizers. And because the social media was so powerful, the Egyptian government actually turned off the internet. And people were unable to communicate with the outside world, they were unable to communicate with each other. And so that weekend, engineers at Google got together and they decided that they're going to use this new technology we had just acquired called Speak to Tweet, and that people would be able to call, and their call would be posted as a tweet globally, so people could know what was happening in Egypt when it was shut off from the rest of the internet. And that night, I was actually listening to these calls as they came in, and it was just this amazing experience to not be reading the news. Like normally we read the news and it's from a reporter, but to actually be connecting to people in a country who had posted something just 1 minute ago, and you could hear what they were actually saying. And so this is just one quote that we have here that I just pulled. I mean, there were so many of them, hundreds of thousands of these, if not more. And actually you can hear it if we can play it. It'll just give you an example.
أنا من منطقة الزيتون، شارع طريقة الجبل ممشيين في بلطجية بيأيدوا مبارك. اكتبوها في تويتر، اكتبوها في الجزيرة، اكتبوها على الفيسبوك، مطلع بلطجية يدافعوا عنه ويأيدوه. اكتبوها، أرجوكم تكتبوها وتطلعوها على الجزيرة، مطلع بلطجية يدافعوا عنه، مطلع بلطجية ابن الكلب يدافعوا عنه.
So I'm not sure you guys could understand what that said. It was a little, and when it got in the microphone, it was a little harder to understand it. But basically, it's someone saying, like, post it on Facebook, post it on Twitter, write about this, write about the experiences that I have. And it was really just another example of how powerful these information tools are in affecting a society and how it could bring social change. So another story I want to say in terms of how we've realized how important information is on a more serious topic. Recently, or like in the last couple of years, there was a lot of bullying of gay teens, and some of those gay teens were feeling so depressed about that they were taking their own lives. And so there was one columnist, his name's Dan Savage, and he decided he wanted to post and he wanted to reach out to those gay teens. Now think about that. Like, people could not have done that in the past. You couldn't have had one individual and say, I want to reach out to gay teens all over the world. How could you have done that 10 years ago? It would have been very, very difficult. And so he posted a YouTube video. He made it with his partner. And within a week, there were 300 more videos. And soon after that, there were hundreds of thousands of those videos. And the video celebrities came in and they said, it gets better. That was the message that they delivered. It gets better. Hang in there. You can make it. It gets better. Even President Obama made a video to support this. And we saw this as an opportunity, and we saw how communities are able to be formed, how the web can do something that makes it a better place for everyone in the world. So we actually have a commercial about it that I'd like to show you.
High school was bad. I was obviously gay, and some kids didn't like that, and I did get harassed. What I'd love you to take away from it is that however bad it is now, it gets better, and it can get great. And it's important for adults to reach out to kids and share our stories so that they can picture futures for themselves that are worth sticking around for.
Okay, little ones, here's the first thing you need to know.
You are perfect and wonderful exactly as you are.
You're not alone.
There are a ton of us out here in this world.
We love you without even knowing you.
There's art to be made There are songs to be sung.
So hold on. Look at me, 80 years old. It gets better with age.
Listen to me.
It gets better.
It gets better.
It gets better.
It does get better.
So much better.
You'll be fine, partner.
Your life can be amazing, but you have to tough this period of it out and you have to live.
So definitely the combination of information, communities, technology can create amazing opportunities and can bring together people in ways that were never possible before. So the other lesson that I've learned as I've been working on the internet for the last 13 years is that pretty much anyone can become a creator. Now, it used to be that only certain people could produce, only certain people could get a global audience. But in today's world, anyone with an internet connection, a camera, or a desire to write can get a global audience. And before there was YouTube and before there was Google, when we first had Google Video, I had a specific experience with a specific video, and that video made me decide to be a big advocate for buying YouTube that cost $1.65 billion. So I spent a lot of money. I didn't actually learn how to spend that kind of money at UC Santa Cruz. But I'm sure you guys could develop a course around that in the future. Basically, we were doing these, trying to work with the studios, and we were getting these, trying to do deals to get what was premium content. And one of the studios, the specials, we were trying to figure out how to put it on Google, and we did all these negotiations, and they had a really good show. And we finally got a few of those episodes, and we put them on Google. Now, at the same time that this was happening, there were 2 Chinese kids in their dorm room, in their sports clothes, with their roommate doing his homework in the background, okay? And this view got 10 times, maybe 20 times what the studio shows had gotten that we had spent months negotiating for. And that's when the light bulb went off. Anyone can be a creator. We have a different environment. It's a platform. People globally can participate, and we can get the best talent. They don't need to be in Hollywood. They don't need to have an agent. So I wanted to show you this video because it's a pretty interesting video, and I think for me it was a very significant one.
大家好，我们是美院的。
You are my fire, the one desire. Believe when I say I want it that way. But we are 2 worlds apart. Can't reach to your heart when you say that I want it that way. Tell me why ain't nothing but a heartache. Tell me why ain't nothing but a mess.
So these 2 Chinese students became known as the Back Dorm Boys. They were signed as spokespeople for Motorola cell phones in China. They had a deal with the largest portal, Sina, in China, and they signed a 5-year contract with the talent agency in China. So it just shows that stars can be born anywhere. For example, Justin Bieber, he was found on YouTube. He was 15. And as all of you, I'm sure, know, he has since done very, very well. There also was sort of, I'll say, a new class of stars that I found very interesting. Rebecca Black. So she is a student, and she paid to have a music video of her made. And she uploaded her song called Friday to YouTube. Went viral. It was so bad that people thought it was great. Now, I have never seen stats where there are 200 million views and 86% of the people dislike it. So I'll show you just a quick look, and you guys can decide for yourself.
Friday, Friday, gotta get down on Friday. Everybody's looking forward to the weekend. Friday, Friday, getting down on Friday. Everybody's looking forward to the weekend. Party and party.
You guys can say up or down. I'm not sure which one it is. So you can see, anyone can now create content. So let's move to the concept of education. So there's some new competitors out for UCSC, Santa Cruz. For those of you who don't know, Sal Khan, he was a hedge fund manager. And he started creating videos for his cousin that needed help in math. Now, once it was hard logistically to set this up, so he had his cousin, he recorded himself. Now, when he recorded himself, his cousin told him that he preferred him on video than real. Now, and there was like, it kind of makes sense when you think about it. He's like, I can be recorded, I can be rewound, if they don't understand something, I can be fast forwarded if I don't want to hear it again. And pretty soon, other people started watching his videos. And even though he was a hedge fund manager, okay, which generally people who are hedge fund managers do pretty well, he began to realize that he had a bigger opportunity to be just managing the Khan Academy. Today, he has 250,000 subscribers. 70,000 people watch his tutorials every day. The Los Altos school system actually uses his videos, and one of the things that he does that's very interesting is the kids for homework watch the video, because they can do the learning at home and they do the discussion in the class. So he's completely flipped the educational model, that the programming happens at home and the discussion happens in the classroom. So these are just a few examples of how content is changing, how education is changing. When you look back and you think about how there used to just be a few cable stations, a few broadcast stations, and then we went to cable and there were hundreds of stations. And now we have things on demand. There can be millions of stations, millions of things presenting whatever people want to know about. So that's the second lesson. Anyone can be a creator. The third thing I've learned is anyone can have a business. And this is actually something that's very near and dear to my heart, since I run all of the advertising systems that are used by millions of small businesses around the globe to run their business. And so let me tell you about one of them. She's actually a UC Santa Cruz grad named Irene. Now, her mom would never let her eat candy. And that's kind of like my mom. And like me, I don't let my kids eat candy. Her mom would would kind of convince her that she should have vegan, gluten-free, and kosher candy. And she and her mom and her sister now have a business in which they do that. And they advertise globally because they have AdWords. It's very easy. They're able to set up their website. They're able to export this wherever there's demand, and they've been able to run their own business. So really, the internet has enabled almost anyone to have a business. It's much easier. You can get global distribution in a way that you never could in the past. So, kind of moving along. So one of the things I've learned working in technology is that you need to believe in the impossible. You need to believe in things that do not seem possible now. Now, if I was giving this talk when I graduated, which like I'm sure I wouldn't have been because I was just a student at that point. But if I had, and I had stood up here and said, in 12 years there are going to be 2 billion connected computers, the technical people in the room would have laughed. They would not have believed it. But yet here we are today, and it's possible. And there are lots and lots of examples. So I remember like someone saying to me, let's have pictures of every road in the world. Let's have cameras and we'll drive down the roads and we'll take pictures of every single road that there is. Now it sounds kind of crazy, doesn't it? Does it sound crazy? But we actually did it. It's called Street View. And we drove, Google drove 14 million miles and take pictures of pretty much every road there is. And that's like going to the moon and back 57 times with cars and cameras. So for those of you who have not visited Santa Cruz recently, I can take you there because we can now go to any spot in the world, any spot in the world. So let's just go do a little brief tour to Santa Cruz. It's beautiful, isn't it? We're going to visit a few different spots. These are some buildings that didn't exist when I was there. So I can check out all the development, move around. The library is there. So anyway, so people can basically go wherever they want. They don't actually have to go there to see it. So some of the things we've done recently that also sound even more crazy is now we have cameras. They're on bikes, they're on boats, and they're going to places like the Amazon. So that people, like, although those are not roads, how do we communicate to people what it's like to be in the Amazon? Not everybody can go to the Amazon. In fact, most people will not go to the Amazon and will not go down those little paths. And so the way that we can share that with people is by having cameras, having technology, and enabling those people to go down it. So those are the types of projects that we're working on that we think can have a big change in how people learn and how people think about the future. But it is really important to believe that these things can become possible. So the next thing that we think is going to become possible are flying cars. Now, I'm not sure you guys believe me. I'm actually just joking. But something very close. Driverless cars. Now, when you think about it, like, people are not really good drivers. People make mistakes, right? I mean, first of all, like, it is a little dangerous to drive. And people drink. People don't always calculate things correctly. They get distracted. They're on their phone. They have emotions. Like, computers do not have any of those issues. They don't drink. They don't get in fights. They're very rational and correct. And that's what you need when you drive. So Google has been working on driverless cars. So let me show you a little bit about this. The engineer who works on it, who's leading it, Sebastian, is the one who is speaking in this video.
Since our work is focused on building driving cars that can drive anywhere by themselves, any street in California, we've driven 140,000 miles. Our cars have sensors by which they magically can see everything around them and make decisions about every aspect of driving. It's the perfect driving mechanism. We've driven in cities, like in San Francisco here. We've driven from San Francisco to Los Angeles on Highway 1. We've encountered joggers, busy highways, toll booths, and this is without a person in the loop. The car just drives itself. In fact, while we drove 140,000 miles, people didn't even notice. Mountain roads, day and night, and even crooked Lombard Street in San Francisco. Sometimes our cars get so crazy, they even do the little stunts.
Oh my God! What? Driving itself.
So I'm hoping that those cars are developed before my children start driving. I'm very emotionally invested in that project. So I'd like to close by just saying that we live in a time of amazing opportunity. And that opportunity is here. When you think about the leaders, who's developing that technology, where are those centers for excellence? It's here. It's in this valley, it's in this area, and in this region. And there's a huge opportunity for the universities to be providing graduates, to be working with these companies. And I'm very excited to see the opportunity between all of these tech companies and UC Santa Cruz in the future. The last point I'd like to say is I see a lot of similarities between the UCs and between the internet. Whereas the internet was an amazing democratizer, it enabled information to be free for everybody, it enabled anyone to create content, anyone to be able to, anyone to communicate with anybody else, anyone to have a business. In many ways, the UCs have been like that. That if you work hard and you're a good student, you can get a quality education. So I'd like to tell the story of just one person who was able to benefit from that amazing UC system, which is my mom. My mother came from a poor family. Her parents had immigrated here from Russia with very limited education, and my mom was able to get a full scholarship to Berkeley. It changed her life, it changed my life, and it changed my children's life. It's why I've given my support to the UC system, and why I hope you will too. It's because I believe in the future. I believe that amazing things are about to happen. I believe in all the kids out there, and I believe they can make it happen. So thank you all for coming out tonight, and thank you for all your time. I'm looking forward to the way that the next generation will change the world. Thank you.
Wonderful. Good talk. Susan, that was fantastic. It really told a great story, and it gave us a glimpse of the future. And we want to thank you for really coming with us today and really sending that message. As a small token of our appreciation, we'd like to present you with a little gift. It's a clock. Hopefully it will remind you of your time at UC Santa Cruz. But I know you have a constant reminder anyway. I want to acknowledge your husband, Dennis Troper, who you actually dated at UC Santa Cruz and who was one of your classmates. So again, thank you very much, Susan. Oh. Great.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Now you can go. Well, tonight we're shining a light on two UC Santa Cruz alums who epitomize our values. Susan Wojicicki, who you just heard from, and Bill Dickinson, who you'll hear from in a few minutes. These are two very special people. Both of them really are committed to excellence. Both of them are remarkably innovative individuals. Both of them are thought leaders, and both of them epitomize the values that are UC Santa Cruz and have given back and committed themselves to making the world a better place. So both of them really epitomize what we at UC Santa Cruz think is important. Now, UC Santa Cruz itself is a very special place. We are a great research university. In fact, UCSC was recently ranked third in the world for the impact of our research, third in the world. So we are a great research university, but we're more than that. We're a research university that provides a wonderful educational opportunity for our students, a really special opportunity. And we do that through our colleges, which are quite unique and provide a living and learning experience for students when they come to UC Santa Cruz. We do it through the commitment of our faculty to the educational experience of our students. In fact, more than 60% of our graduates, by the time they graduate, have done research with a faculty member, so they're well on their way to their future. We do it because such a large percentage, in fact, we are among the top universities in the country in terms of the percentage of our students who go on and get doctoral degrees. And we do it by treating our undergraduates the way many universities treat their graduate students, by involving them in our own work. That's why UC Santa Cruz is such a special place. We believe it's important to teach our students not what to think, but rather how to think. And we do that all within the values that we hold so dear, the values of environmental sustainability and social justice, which pervade virtually everything that we do as a university. That's why we're such a special place. So we have, Susan Wojicicki, leading a global company that touches our lives virtually every day. And we have tonight's honoree, Bill Dickinson, a member of our pioneer class, who has dedicated his life to the vision and values that our campus was founded upon. I was impressed the very first day that I met Bill. That was back in Boston a few years ago. Our first conversation is one that I took away a great deal from. I learned a lot from him, and he made me realize the importance of UCSC and our historical background and how important it is to us. And let me begin by showing you a short video about Bill Dickinson.
I have always loved Margaret Mead's idea that a small group of committed people can change the world. And I learned at UCSC to take an idea and not just say, isn't that a nice idea, but how do you actually go live it?
As I was beginning my provostship, he called me and he said, my name's Bill Dickinson, I have an interest in Cowell College, and I'm going to make you successful. And he has done just that.
I've admired his forthright qualities. He says what he means, and he means what he says. He is sincere and dedicated, and given the circumstances of his youth and how he grew up, I think he's a pretty amazing human being.
My family came undone when I was 6 years old, and I got put into a system that, the way I experienced it, took away my dignity, and at every opportunity thwarted my natural tendency to swim against the stream. So when I got to UCSC, and particularly to Page Smith's Cowell College, I got my dignity back. I found there were people here who themselves swim against the stream, and they taught me how to do it resourcefully. I know from my own experience what a difference it makes when somebody gives you a chance, and I thought I'll create a little scholarship as a living memorial to Paige and Eloise Smith.
The Smith Renaissance Society was started by Bill because he wants students who are called independent students. That might be foster students or wards of the state, orphans. He wants independent students to have the great experience in college that he had.
One of the things that I find the most remarkable about Bill is that he gets to know the students and finds out what their needs are, the things that will connect with them and make this experience work for them.
Bill and the Smith Society has really impacted me in a way that I put my engineering degree aside and went to a field where I can help more people, kids and families and fathers in my current work. So it has taught me to give back.
My father had a real passion for what he was doing. I think that Bill has that too. The Smith Renaissance Society would be something that Father would be delighted by.
For me, it's a privilege, I think, to be involved in programs like this. You really want to come to the functions and see how the students are doing and watch them come back as they've gone to graduate school and gone out into the world and been successful, and see them tell that story.
In the Smith Society, we bring in kids who have had adverse effects in life. We give them hope and dream to be able to soar into the next generation.
Bill Dickinson is a very passionate person. He's a thoughtful person, so it's passion connected to reflection. He makes a major contribution to the welfare, not only of the Smith Renaissance students, but to the entire welfare of UCSC.
I like mobilizing people to roll up their sleeves and make a difference in the lives of intelligent young people. We had our chance, they deserve to have their chance. It's what life is for.
Wow, what an honor to honor the man who's helping to teach us all to swim upstream in order to make a difference. And to really honor Bill, I'd like to invite to the stage the UC Santa Cruz Foundation President, Ken Doctor, and one of our alums, someone who makes us very, very proud, Dutron Kebebyu.
Thank you, Chancellor. I had an idea when we were watching a couple of videos and presentations that when the Google car is ready, we could auction one off for the Smith Society. I don't know how, 2 years, 3 years? I'm very honored to help present Bill Dickinson the UC Santa Cruz Foundation's Fiat Lux Award. Fiat Lux, as we all know, means bringing light to darkness. This award is presented each year to alumni and friends who have demonstrated outstanding achievement, dedication, and service in support of university programs. Now, many alums and many people in this room and many others, dozens out there, have helped the university out a great deal over decades now, into our 5th decade. But most of us zig and zag in our commitment over the years, depending on our time and availability. Bill has had a straight line, dedicated commitment to UCSC and to this program, and we all see the results. He has made a heartfelt contribution, which makes a huge difference in the lives of students, and I think the number of tables here representing that is just a small testimony to it. The foundation has been glad to help the Society's work with a small challenge grant. We hope to do more, and we hope we can all do more to support the Society's work. Bill has been a mentor to many, many students, as we've seen, including Dutron, who will tell you a bit more about what makes Bill so special. Dutron?
Thank you, Ken. Each year, the recipient of the Fiat Lux Award is selected from a number of nominees. In his letter of a nomination, one of Bill's fans wrote that Bill is guided by a moral compass that points to what's best for UCST students, and I can attest to that. Let me put this aside and let me tell you from my heart. I met Bill in 2000, I think in 2001 or 2000, where he came to me and said, I have this little scholarship and your name popped up, and could you come and join? At that point, I was a Pister scholar, and I said, Bill, I don't need the money, but tell me your ideas. What he said is, I had this idea that was influenced by Page Smith. He said, when I was here in the Pioneer class, there was something magical. I'm an engineering student, okay? To hear something magical, you get, really? Anything outside of Bascan? Sure. So I said, go on. He said, you know, I had this experience, and you and I have this thing in common. We had a hard time, and let us create something for UCSC students. I said, can we take it to Davis, Berkeley? And he was like, no, let's keep it here first. But what happened was, and what Bill created, I can't really describe it in words to you. Because if you were here doing the pioneer class under Paige Smith's provostship, there's something magical happen. It happened to Bill, it happened to the pioneer class. But what I can tell you, that Bill was the bridge to us. Today, I had an opportunity to talk to one of our Smith Senior Fellow. When we graduate from Smith Society, we become a Senior Fellow. You don't have to contribute a penny, you get that title. What it says is you have an obligation to come back and do something more. We're happy to donate, but we're happy to mentor. So what Bill has done is he became a bridge between Paige and the next generation. That's what I do. That's what Phil Rose will do in the next generation. We are paying it forward until every student gets the opportunity of education. That's the way out of poverty. That's a way out of foster care and a way of changing. So for that, I am so grateful to being able to meet this man. I cannot tell you how much he has impacted my life. Bill, come on up here.
Thank you to all who had a hand in the UCSC Foundation deciding to bestow this high honor. I feel grateful beyond the power of mere words to convey. Gratitude can renew dreams. In 1932, two kids standing in Stanford's graduate school registration line got to bragging. One, a Swarthmore Quaker, sang the praises of the small student-centered community. The other, a Lompoc farmer's kid, got to bragging about UCLA's large size and the horizon broadening aspects that a large university can provide. They became roommates for the next few years and kept at it, always coming to the same conclusion. There's no reason you couldn't have both in one institution. Because Clark Kerr, the Quaker, became UC's president in 1958 and named Dean McHenry, the farmer's son, UCSC's first chancellor. 47 years ago, my classmates and I were privileged to help pioneer one of the noblest experiments in American higher education. And for that, I'm abidingly grateful. A student in Cowell College, UCSC's first, I'm grateful for Paige Smith, our founding provost, whose name we bear and whose necktie I am honored to wear. The first and last man I saw ride a horse on campus. Paige stood tall in the saddle, embodying virtues and values young people could grasp easily, especially the love and respect he lavished on students, regardless of your status. I'm grateful to his fiercely spunky wife, Eloise, an artist who showed that if you would like something good to happen, just do it. I'm grateful for the community of friends, volunteers inside and outside the university, mentors and donors, whose big-hearted devotion makes the Smith Renaissance Society possible. This award goes to all of us. I'm grateful to our students, past and present, who showed up tonight. You are our reason for being, our hope for the future. And I'm grateful to all who remain faithful to UCSC's student-focused DNA, assuring, as my new friend Lisa Nielsen puts it, that it is still different, always relevant. In January 1967, President Kerr was fired abruptly, casualty to that era's discord. In Santa Cruz, as we gathered in the Upper Quarry Amphitheater to deal with the shock, Mary Holmes, a revered faculty member, named Clark Kerr's great gift. He found ways to create small, cross-generational communities in a large system like UC. I see us carrying on his vision. It can be copied. Just as Stevenson College followed Cowell, last month Friends launched the Dreamweaver Society to support the aspirations of UCSC's lovely, courageous, undocumented immigrant students. Why stop there? Some of you care about libraries. Let's have a Don Clark Society to memorialize our first university librarian and foster the dreams of future librarians. Others care about astrophysics and astronomy. Imagine a James Lick Society for students seeking to explore the universe. As a former transfer student, I can see a Miller Society to honor Corinne Miller's committed service. How about a Dean McHenry Society to help civic-minded students search for ways to restore health and harmony to our social contract? I agree with Margaret Mead. Small groups of thoughtful, committed people could make this real. Clark Kerr, Dean McHenry, and Paige Smith are gone. But if we who remain and remember resolve to carry on their dream, then that huge cohort of today's UCSC students who are the first in their families to go to college will have a better shot at a brighter tomorrow. Fiat Lux, let there be light.
Wow. It's been a very, very amazing evening and actually fairly emotional, at least for me. I don't know about everybody else in the audience, but that was amazing. I mean, all of our speakers have been absolutely incredible. Thank you, Bill, for your dedication to helping make UCSC the enriched and diverse place that it is today. Your dedication and your spirit of giving not only helps students in need, but exemplifies, I think, what it means to be a slug. what it means to be a slug. I'm sure outside of this room that might actually have different connotations, but I know that I hope everyone here in this room is on the same page I am. Thank you, Susan, for opening our eyes to the various ways in which technology has changed our world. I think you're right. We do take advantage of it, and we do kind of not notice how much it's really changing the world around us. It's moving far faster than people realize. And you also showed us that anyone can be a star, anyone can start a business. You need only believe in the impossible, as you said, and change the world. That, again, that spirit of defiant optimism is another thing that is another piece of what it means to be a slug. You're an inspiration to us all, and we're very proud of you as an alumni. And finally, to Emmett, for your call to action, for each and every one of us in this room to get involved in our communities, to help California, not just UC, but to help California through these very difficult times. I think, again, that spirit of community and getting involved is just another aspect of what it means to be a slug. So thank you very much. It's been a wonderful night, and I'm going to leave the last comments to my esteemed co-chair, Mary Doyle.
One of the great pleasures of volunteering for Santa Cruz is getting to know people like Brandon, who keeps me on my toes, and who today shared with me a picture of himself from his school days, trying to keep me on the straight and narrow, and to remind me that not everyone was Perhaps I've gone too far, Brandon.
Continue.
To remind me that another thing that differentiates us slugs from everyone else is that we all do have a tendency to swim upstream.
Thank you. Very politically put.
Thanks also to Brandon for reflecting on our wonderful evening with inspiring guests and honorees, not to mention the terrific students who started us off, the beneficiaries of many a scholarship, who remind us, as they do every year, of what UC Santa Cruz is all about. A Midsummer Night's Dream of a place that, to this day, delivers a transformative experience to students. Bill, as you said, still different, always relevant. A place where the undergraduate experience is rich and lively, shepherded by a superb faculty that, as the Chancellor noted earlier, ranks third in the world for the influence of its scholarship, its research. Where over half of the students enjoy research opportunities elsewhere reserved for graduate students. Where no one knows what it means to think inside of the box, which is an important skill in this age of radically declining state support. Today, students require our help more than ever before. Thank you all for extending your hands to them tonight. But the need is still great, so we invite you all to do what you can in the days and months to come to support a tremendous university and to make sure the brightest of California's high school graduates have access to an education second to none, one whose memory, whose actual experience still is emotionally meaningful to us and gives us all chills. There's actually a computer terminal outside the room, I kid you not, to enable you to support our fabulous university and all those students. Thank you all for a wonderful evening and a good night.